As the lights come up on Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, and we're left in our seats, feeling the sticky floors beneath our feet, we have to take a moment to ponder the greater meaning of the film, nay, of our own place in the universe. A moment to ask ourselves, what was the point? Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings is about finding identity through balance. Hold on. There's a little more to it than that. Let me explain. There are so many complex themes. I'll even throw in a your mom joke. Thank you. Whether you know much about Eastern philosophy or not, I'm sure you're familiar with the yin-yang symbol. It's even on the back of my phone. The concept stems from dualism, the idea that there are two opposing forces in life that complement one another: death and life, plants and animals, the earthly and the heavenly. Essentially, yin is dark and yang is light. Yang is active, the force that creates summer and life. Yin is receptive, the force of winter and death. These ideas are repeated over and over again in Shang-Chi. For instance, the yang force is feminine and represents the earth. In this film, it's embodied by Shang-Chi's mother, Li. She and the other people of Ta Lo have learned to control the powers of the earth, while Wenwu's 10 rings draw power from the heavens. When Wenwu and Li meet, their fight becomes a kind of dance, as the two of them find balance with one another. This balance causes the rings to glow orange and yellow, symbolizing that they are fully balanced, like the warm collars worn by the people of Ta Lo. And of course, Ta Lo rejects Wenwu because he is unworthy and will throw the village out of balance. Balance is the mission of Ta Lo. They maintain the balance of our world by preventing the dark demons from entering it. Aunt Nan also helps Shang-Chi achieve this balance.
Everything you need is already inside of you.
His father raised him to fight with brute force, and he was trained in the snow. This shows that he undergoes this training for his mother. Watching his mother die motivated him to train, so he'll never feel that sort of weakness again. But then, Nan helps him balance that rage and fear with the spirit of the dragon that he inherited from his mother. So he has to learn to balance the forces of his mother and father that live within himself.
Evil and good are always at war inside you, Zuko. It is your nature, your legacy.
Now, symbolically, it's very important that Nan shows Shang-Chi how to open his fist in combat to control his rage. The visual of a palm grasping the fist is also very much like the visual of the yin-yang symbol, showing a marriage of the heavens and the earth, or anger and peace. In Kung Fu, a fist enclosed by an open palm symbolizes peace and submission to one's master, or, in Sean's case, submission to the power of the protector dragon. The fist symbolizes hostility or fight, while the open palm represents control. Wrapping the fist with your left hand signals submission or mutual surrender, but most importantly, balance. And there's also an interpretation of this gesture based on ancient religious symbols that's related to Taoism, Confucianism, and Buddhism, and ancient Chinese mythological ancestral religion.
You can make a religion out of this.
Wherein the right fist symbolizes the moon or the earth, and the open palm symbolizes the heavens, spirit, or stars, making it about the union of the heavens, or the gods, the spirit, meaning the human soul, and the earth. So, speaking of dragons, it's important to note that in Chinese culture, dragons are not evil. Western fairy tales often cast dragons as the embodiment of war. They're greedy monsters who destroy villages with fire.
I am death.
But in Chinese myth, dragons are gods who bring good luck, representing power and strength. This is also why the dance of the dragon is performed at Chinese New Year. Some dragons sleep beneath mountains, waiting to be awoken to protect their people, marrying them to the earth while also drawing their power from the heavens. Therefore, they live with both the yin and yang within them. They are balance. So there's actually only one dragon in this movie, the protector dragon. The dweller of the darkness is actually a demon from another plane, whose existence throws our world out of balance. This is why the dragon leaves after the defeat of the demon. It's no longer needed in our world, and its power would throw us out of balance. And by the way, before it flies away, it swims in a perfect yin-yang pattern. So it's this power of the dragon, its balance, that allows Shang-Chi to unlock the full power of the ring's potential, which is also a metaphor for him unlocking his full potential that I'll talk about a bit later.
Will you share it with us?
But this theme of balance also reverberates through how the movie portrays death. Ancient Chinese beliefs are built on soul dualism, meaning that all humans actually have two souls, called Hun and Po. Our Po soul is of the physical world, our yin, and stays with our bodies after death. This is embodied by the yin forces of Li, whose life force continues to live on through the people of Ta Lo. The Hun soul is more spiritual, departing the body after death, tied to the yang of Wenwu. He insists that his wife's Hun soul has not departed the world and still lingers behind. mind. The movie is also set during the Chinese Day of the Dead, which is very different from the Mexican celebration. The purpose of the Day of the Dead is to cleanse the world of the Po, to clean the tombs and graves, and to give away the clothing of the departed. In Shang-Chi, Katy's grandmother is holding a place at the dinner table for her late husband, a way of feeding his soul in the afterlife. There are also numerous shrines to the dead in the movie. These shrines celebrate the Po or Yin with the grave, and the Hun or Yang with their tablets. Chinese culture has an interesting tradition with the afterlife, ancestor veneration. This is basically saying that the dead family members are still active members of the family, who can affect the lives of the living. So, by venerating one's ancestors, you're upholding a tradition so that one day you will be venerated in turn. Now, this is different from the more Western view, which is transactional. Do good things so you get into heaven, do bad things and you go to hell.
I would like to see you settled before I ascend to heaven and live with the angels.
And with Grandpa.
No, he is not there.
This might also explain why the Dweller of the Darkness is essentially a Western demon or the Western perception of a dragon. Its interference in this Chinese village's culture will throw their world out of balance, much as British colonial interference in the Opium War threw China out of balance in the 1800s. So, if ancestor veneration is about keeping the spirits of your ancestors happy, then the soul-sucking monsters are the antithesis of ancestor veneration. They steal the afterlife away from people to feed a large capitalist Western machine.
It's hard to describe capitalism as being shaped like a friend.
This push-pull between Eastern and Western cultures is also exemplified by Katy trying to balance her Eastern heritage with her Western upbringing. She doesn't go by her Chinese name, Rui Wen, and she can read Chinese but not speak it.
Shang-Chi. Shan.
At one point, a character even tells her, "I can speak ABC," placing them on the same cultural wavelength. Now back to Wen Wu and ancestor veneration. Because he's tied to the Yang force, he denies death. He survives for hundreds of years and refuses to believe that his wife is gone from the world. He is susceptible to the influence of the demon because he's out of balance. He also can't see the difference between reality and fantasy. Much like his other self, Trevor Slattery, he couldn't see that the apes in Planet of the Apes weren't real. Trevor is also a copy of the Mandarin, much like the Dark Demon's voice is a copy of Lee's voice. But the movie's focus on death and the afterlife is key to reminding the characters that death is the consequence of life, so it's important to live your life with purpose. And this is why I say the movie is concerned with balance and identity. Sean has to learn to embrace his true purpose and balance leisure with discipline. Both he and Katy have overbearing parents who pressure them to achieve success. This is called tiger parenting, or being a tiger mom, first made famous in Western culture with the book Battle Hymn of the Tiger Mom by Amy Chua. Katy's family wants her to use her degree to become a doctor. Wen Wu wants Shang-Chi to take over the family business and become an evil warlord of a secret society. Even Sean and Katy's friends tell them to live up to their potential, while the two of them argue that achievement doesn't necessarily equal fulfillment, whereas Trevor only finds purpose in being an actor.
I launched into a performance of my Macbeth. Whence is that knocking? Wait, Duncan with their knocking. I wish though, 'cause they couldn't get enough of it. I've been doing weekly gigs for the lads ever since.
And disappearing inside of the roles that other people ascribe to him.
Killian,
He created you. He created me.
Wen Wu lived with purpose for hundreds of years before falling in love. Then, briefly, he lived a life without purpose, a life of simple pleasures and dance revolution. Living a life of pleasure caused the death of his wife because he and his son were not able to protect her. Katy learns archery and is told that if she aims at nothing, she'll hit nothing. Also a way of saying that she needs to live up to her potential and use her degree. The parallel, of course, is Sean learning not to squander his abilities. Only then can he become balanced, wield the power of the Protector Dragon, and use the 10 rings to their fullest potential. And this struggle with identity is also tied to names. Wen Wu has gone by many names over the years, each name given to him by some people that he conquered or who feared him. None of these names reflected his true self, Wen Wu. Wen Wu roughly means war as a last resort. So when peace, or win, fails, one must resort to Wu, or war. And Shang-Chi abandons his Chinese name for the more Western-sounding Sean, just as many Asian Americans take on Americanized pseudonyms to make it easier for white people to accept them.
Just Wong? Like Adele?
But Shang-Chi is encouraged to ditch his ABC name to embrace his true self. His name means the rising and advancing of the spirit. So, by embracing his true name and both sides of his heritage, he's able to achieve balance. Then he can bring the rings and himself to their highest potential. So the final lesson of the movie is simple, something we can all find meaning in. If you don't get a job, demons will come out of a portal and eat your soul. That's the point of Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments or at me on Twitter. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe. For Screen Crush, I'm Ryan Airy.